After what would have been an agonizing 3 months if it wasn't for the unexpected roller coaster that was Seth MacFarlane's Ted the Series, Family Guy is officially back. Now, this episode is breaking a 19-year tradition as Family Guy is officially airing on Wednesdays instead of Sundays, which does feel a little odd to be saying after watching the series for all these years. In this video, I'm going to break down Family Guy Season 22, Episode 10, titled Cabin Pressure, and give my overall thoughts on the episode, then rank it between 1 and 5 stars. But first, if you guys like videos like these, feel free to give the video a like and also consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you can be notified as these videos release. Now, with all that out of the way, let's begin. The episode starts off with Peter going to the brewery company picnic, which is something the series has done before, but we haven't seen in quite a while. The last time I can really remember the brewery having a company picnic was in Season 3, Episode 1, titled The Thin White Line, with of course the most infamous skit from the brewery picnic being Catch the Greased Up Deaf Guy. Back to the episode, the Griffin family enters the picnic and we get a cameo from Cocky Jogger, who seems to be one of Family Guy's favorite ongoing jokes as of late, and it seems Cocky Jogger, interestingly enough, works with Peter now. Immediately after this, we get a cameo from Bob from Bob's Burgers, with Peter noting that he's the guy who started later than him but is now higher than him. Now, this is probably all in good fun and really an underhanded compliment from Family Guy to Bob's Burgers. On a side note, something I didn't realize until making this video is that H. Jon Benjamin, who plays Bob on Bob's Burgers, actually voices a prominent side character in Family Guy. If you didn't know, H. Jon Benjamin voices Chris's boss, Carl, who manages the Quahog Mini-Mart. Eventually, Peter's boss announces to everyone that the company will be hosting an egg toss competition, and the winner will get a 5-night stay at Preston's vacation home in Maine. Peter and Lois participate in the egg toss competition, and despite Peter throwing the egg aggressively, him and Lois win the competition, giving the Griffins the winning prize. The Griffins are ecstatic about their vacation in Maine, but Peter gets the idea to bring all of his friends and their families as well because the vacation home is so big. Lois isn't enthusiastic about having so many heads under one roof, but Peter mentions that this is their opportunity to yell at kids that aren't their own, so she quickly changes her mind. After this, the Griffins and their neighbors arrive at the cabin, but as soon as they are inside, Lois takes her opportunity to start yelling at Cleveland Jr., which plays into the joke from earlier, and I can't lie, this did get a laugh out of me.
Look at all those big smiles.
Cleveland Jr., know what? Feet on the hardwood floor. This is gonna be a great week.
After Lois yells at Cleveland Jr., Peter is informed by Joe, Cleveland, and Quagmire that they have made several different messes inside of Preston's vacation home, and they inform Peter that the toilet is clogged as well. No one in the house fesses up to the BM, then we get by far the funniest scene in the episode, where Quagmire accuses Chris of being the one who committed the crime based on a ring of sweat around the brim of his hat. I'm sorry, but I don't even think Stan Smith would have thought of that while interrogating someone. However, in private, Lois confesses to Peter that she was the one who clogged the toilet, and he agrees to take the blame in exchange for 2 souvenirs at the bear show. In the next scene, Quagmire wakes up Peter early and shows him the itinerary for the day, and it shows that the bear show is low priority, which annoys Peter, but he gets ready for the day. Peter then struggles to keep up with the rest of the group on a bike ride, and after they arrive at their destination, Lois belittles a small shop owner, and they go back to their cabin where Peter is pressured into cooking everyone dinner. This annoys Peter because the group is cutting it really close on time to make it to the bear show. After a few jokes, Peter and the rest of the group arrive too late to see the bear show, and it just so happens to be the last bear show that they were ever going to perform. Of course, Peter is upset about this as salt is poured into the wound by a bear show employee, and in the next scene, Peter vents and lets everybody know the truth about who it was that took the dump earlier, revealing that it was Lois. Peter then tells his friends that he is over them and considering moving, and in a rage, Peter tries to throw Quagmire's itinerary in the fireplace, but it catches the cabin on fire as well. Peter's friends and family decide to leave him with the burnt cabin to figure out the problem himself. After this, Peter tries to check online to see if he can find a solution to fix the cabin, and we get a cameo from Corey from the channel Corey's World, which if you don't know is an actual YouTube channel owned by Fox. Now, I will say his voice did sound a little different than usual, but Damien Fay is listed under the end credits of the episode, so I guess he just went with a little less of a high-pitched voice this time around.
What's going on, guys? I'm Corey from Corey's World. Today I'm going to show you how to change an 8 to a 0 on your license to see Mulder. What's going on, guys? I'm Corey from Corey's World. Today I'm going to show you how to patch a big hole in your boss's cabin.
However, Peter gets a call from his boss telling him that he is on his way because he didn't leave enough towels for Peter's guests, and Peter quickly realizes that he is going to have to face the music, but fortunately his friends and family pull up to help Peter, and they apologize to him for making the vacation all about them and for not making an effort to go to the bear show. After this, Peter and his friends destroy the cabin in an attempt to fix it. Then Peter's boss Preston arrives, and conveniently he isn't upset about the cabin and he views it being destroyed as a relief. In the end, all the coincidences line up, as it turns out the whole episode was just a dream, and Peter had a stress heart attack at the beginning of the episode during the egg toss. Which I guess explains all the coincidences throughout the episode, such as Peter winning the egg toss despite throwing it way too hard, Peter missing the bear show that just so happened to be the last show, Peter's friends showing up to help him after Lois talks to them off screen, and of course Peter's boss forgiving him immediately. Now, I know it was all just a dream, plots tend to leave a sour taste in everyone's mouth, but this is Family Guy, and with them clearly having no intentions of doing syndicated seasons, what we're really here for is the jokes and the characters. So now with that, let's just get on to my overall thoughts. I found this episode to be alright, definitely better than the previous episode I reviewed, The Return of the King of Queens. I don't really think the It Was All a Dream plotline takes away too much from this episode, and it helps actually explain the randomness, but one thing this episode does suffer from is going into crunch time really hard at the end. And speaking of crunch time, the episode didn't really need to do that, as there were still some hidden time waster jokes sprinkled throughout the episode. But it isn't nearly as bad as it's been in previous seasons. It only took Joe about 30 seconds for him to get into his car, where I feel like this would have been a minute plus long joke in previous seasons. And speaking of jokes, there was an NFL joke that may have rubbed people the wrong way, but it was pointed out quickly in my comments before making this video that that joke was written before the tragic event took place on field. Some jokes I really did enjoy though were Quagmire's investigation over who clogged the toilet, and of course when Lois yells at Cleveland Jr. just because of shock factor. I also like the joke where Peter tries to fit into shorts that he never wears except on vacation, and the scene where Lois belittles the shopkeeper because it is agonizingly relatable if you have ever worked in retail. Also, the joke where Lois reacts to her burnt grocery bags as if she had lost a child was funny as well. However, I do wish they would have done more with the brewery company picnic. It would have been nice to see some throwback jokes, but unfortunately Peter's boss Preston just isn't as kooky of a character as Mr. Weed, so it doesn't allow the show to have events like Catch the Grease-Up Deaf Guy or Dodge the Tranquilizers. Unfortunately, I don't see something fun like that happening again because of the type of character that Preston is. Besides that though, this episode is a pretty run-of-the-mill Family Guy episode. Nothing really interesting happens between its characters and everything just kind of stays the same. Now, I didn't give a rating for the previous episode that I had reviewed, The Return of the King of Queens, but if I had to give that episode a rating, I would have given it 1 out of 5 stars. So where does this episode fall? For this review, I'm going to give Family Guy's Season 22, Episode 10's Cabin Pressure 2.5 out of 5 stars. Over the coming weeks, I do believe that this is going to become one of those Family Guy episodes that we inevitably forget about, since nothing from this episode really hits it out of the park. This episode definitely isn't a dumpster fire like Return of the King of Queens, but it's definitely not a hit like Road to Rhode Island. But I want to know what you guys think. Did you guys dislike this episode? Did you guys like this episode? Was it worth the wait? And how do you guys feel about Family Guy moving from Sundays to Wednesdays? Let me know in the comments down below. Finally though, if you guys enjoy videos like these, please consider giving it a like and also consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you can be notified as these videos release. Alrighty guys, you all take care, have a good one.